Tom and Mary were traditional Irish folk. Tom made a living by crafting traditional Irish covered wagons, and indeed it was in one of these very same wagons that Tom and Mary were to experience a night on the road like no other. Tom had to make a journey to a village some miles away. Mary, his wife, was pregnant, and they both decided it might be safer if they traveled together rather than leaving Mary alone in the home at such a time. So they gathered their provisions for the journey and set out on the road. They set out early in the morning and traveled through the day, but as the evening came in, they decided to pull the wagon over and sleep the night inside its covered walls. Tom pulled the horses to the side of the road and secured, fed, and watered them. Mary prepared a small meal and made the beds in the back of the wagon. They ate and decided it was time to sleep. Tom was walking by when he heard horses neighing. Tom knew the horses well and knew this was strange behavior, so he roused himself and went out to see them. The horses were uneasy, moving on the spot. Tom calmed them and went back to the wagon. A few minutes later, again, the horses became agitated. Tom could hear horses' hooves, cartwheels, and chains, as if something was coming closer and ever closer to the wagon. At this point, being protective, he sat in the driver's seat of the wagon, closing the covered wagon, ensuring that his wife Mary remained safe inside. He spoke to the horses and calmed them as the sound of the chains, horses, and cartwheels came ever closer, ever louder, until, like a crash, they seemed to be on top of the wagon and then gone. Tom, being a religious man, took the holy water he always carried with him, splashing it upon the horses and around the wagon that he was in. He again sat vigil. Sure enough, not more than half an hour later, again the sounds of clanking chains and men shouting came ever closer. And men shouting came ever closer, ever closer. Just like last time, fear gripped Tom's heart, but still, he stood. The horses were agitated, and still, he calmed them, knowing he was the barrier between whatever was out there and his wife within the wagon. A further 3 times these sounds came upon the wagon that Tom and Mary were in, and a further 3 times Tom steeled himself. And then dawn came. Tom was thankful for the light. He opened the wagon and went in to see Mary. He explained to her what happened. Again, being a woman of faith, she understood and was grateful that Tom had protected both her, the wagon, and the horses. She quickly made tea while Tom tended to the horses and got ready to move to the town. After tea, they both rode out. It was late morning when they arrived at the town. The local innkeeper met them. "It must have been a long journey," the innkeeper remarked. Tom nodded. "Well, last night we stayed on the road there, a few miles back." "And you stayed on the main road coming in?" the innkeeper asked. "Yes." "Why?" Tom asked. "Nobody stays on that road overnight. It was on that road there was a massacre. A militia who'd been given free rein over the Irish land, who were cruel, had killed many Irish and pressed their bodies into the bog surrounding the road." The innkeeper leaned closer. "It was said that the ghosts of that time could still be heard if you stayed the night on that dark road,"